Hey everybody, welcome back. It is the Razzball Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Beaton, joined by the Fantasy Master Lothario, Gray Albright. How's it going over there, Gray?
Good man. I was just going through my previously drafted teams and applying gauze on the injured players. I cut out a little piece of gauze and I paste it over. I just realized I just pasted gauze onto my computer screen. That's not great. um, yeah, this is an outfield podcast, and this is gonna go. This will probably go for like 4 hours, right? So we shouldn't delay too long. But I will say this: I only drafted two catchers prior to 200 overall, and that was because it was a two catcher league. So I was like, two catcher league. I usually grab a catcher, my first catcher around 150 overall. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to loosen up. I'm going to take a catcher. I'm going to take two catchers early. So I grabbed Sean Murphy and Francisco Alvarez. Super perfect. Perfection. Just absolutely nailing my picks. Yeah. So anyway, I
Yeah.
hope everyone is drafting the Raz Slam well, and don't draft like Gray Albright. Thank you.
Oh, this was in Raz Slam. You're drafting catchers all of a sudden. That's a very bold strategy, Gray. We'll see
Yeah.
if that
Well,
works for you.
I'll stay mum on which league it was in, but it wasn't the Raz Slam.
All right. Well, let's just.
I don't want to give away all my secrets.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to talk about Tout, which I think you got coming up this next weekend, I don't think anybody cares about any of your other leagues. So let's just get in the outfielders,
That's
Gray.
fair.
But starting in the sixth tier, we ended the last one in the fifth tier, which ended with Randy Rosarina, Dallas Garcia, and Lou Bob Jr. This is starting at number 40 with Alec Burleson, who we've already talked about. So we move to number 41, Lane Thomas. Last year, he had 130 games where he had 15 home runs, 32 stolen bases, 65, 63, 237, 309, 400. Yummer Jet for 18 home runs, 20 stolen bases, 71, 75, and 242. He was traded from Nationals to the Guardians. He had 77 games in Washington where he went 8, 28, 253. And then he had 53 games in Cleveland where he went 7, 4, 209. I mean, what are your thoughts on Lane Thomas? I have him like 20 spots lower than this, so I'm curious why you have him up here.
Well, I have him in a tier called Yo, Who the F is You? So I will now explain. I think he's like the epitome of Yo, who the F is you? Because like one year he'll be a 10 homer, 20 steal guy. Another year he'll be a 15-15 guy. A year he'll be a 20-20 guy. Another year he'll be like a 12-35 guy. I have him projected for 18-20 this year. It is a little it's not exactly perfection to be drafted a guy you don't know what you're going to get, but I mean he did go 15-32 last year. Now granted, most of the year was in Washington, where we've as we've previously discussed, Davey Martinez is like he's got caught stealing blindness. It's a rare disease where usually it only affects certain MLB managers, and it's basically the symptoms are they don't see caught stealings as a bad thing. I think it's Davey Martinez and Ron Washington are two number one culprits of the caught stealing blindness. I'll say, I think it depends what Cleveland's going to do with Lane Thomas. Like it's honestly, it's hard to say. I understand why you might be a little bit further down on him than me. I see him as a guy who has 30 steal speed and can hit 15 to 20 plus homers. So I don't know. And I'm not necessarily alone in that. I think if you were to take me out of the equation, you see other projection systems. Steamer has him for roughly 20 homers and 25 steals. Other people have him for, closer to 17 homers and 20 plus steals. But, it's all sort of in the same ballpark. It really depends on how much he runs, on whether or not he's going to give back as much value as I have him ranked for. But I don't see why. Like, I know he didn't necessarily run as much for Cleveland last year after he was traded, but I mean, they're not necessarily. I mean, I guess Jose Ramirez has a green. It seems like Jose Ramirez has a green light on the base pass for whenever he wants to run, and not necessarily the other guys. I think so. It's really going to be a matter of whether Lane Thomas can, convert some of those attempts. So I'm not 100% confident in Lane Thomas on where I have him ranked, but I mean, he was 125 overall last year for on the player rater, and he was the 33rd best outfielder. So, I mean, the fact that I have him at 41 overall for outfielders, I have him coming down a little bit from his value, but yeah, I mean, he is kind of like, I don't know. I mean, he is valuable, even if it isn't necessarily what you think it's going to be. Like, the previous year in 2023, he hit 28 homers and stole 20 bags. Last year, like I mentioned, 15-32. So, it's not 100% clear what he's going to give you, but he usually does give you fantasy value. So, yeah, I'm fine with him at this is roughly third outfielder territory. I'm fine with the pick. I believe Steamer has him, I'll say the War Room, our Razzball War Room. I have seen him on the at the top of the War Room as I've been drafting, and I'll admit to passing on him a few times, but there's been times where I've actually wanted him. So he's kind of like a team build. If you have a team where you need a potential guy who can give you steals and
Just a
possibly,
random globula of stuff.
yeah, I mean, counting stats. I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily hate him. He's going on average around the same spot as like Nick Castellanos and Brandon Nemo. I mean, that feels about right. I don't know. I'm sort of a push on Lane Thomas for where he's going and where I have him. I don't necessarily hate him, but I wouldn't necessarily grab him in every league either.
Yeah, not a plant your flag type of guy. I don't know. I just again, when he moved from Washington to Cleveland, he just stopped running. He went from 28 steals in 77 games to 4 in 53 games. As you mentioned, the only one in Cleveland who seems to be able to steal is Jose Ramirez, and it's probably just because he's got enough money and it's Cleveland. So what are they going to do? Like cut him and take the loss on the money? No, that's not going to happen. So I just don't know. Like without the steals, Cleveland being a terrible park for righties, like is he going to provide enough for you that he's going to be worth taking as your outfielder 3, maybe outfielder 4? 4 is fine if he slipped in drafts or if you went maybe outfielder heavy, but I just don't love Lane Thomas. I just don't know what he does well, really. Yeah. Well, we'll just move on. We disagree there. It's fine. He's not someone that either of us are eager to draft, it sounds like. Regardless, number 42, Steven Kwan. Last year in 122 games, he had 14 home runs, 12 stolen bases, 83, 44, 292, 368, 425. You have him down for 11 home runs, 16 stolen bases, 91, 51, 291. He had a hamstring issue in May and some kind of back issue in September. Had a really good first half, not so much in the second half when he went 352 versus 206. more fly balls in the second half, and BABIP really fell 364 versus 214. This is another one where I understand he's going to give you runs. He should, in theory, be good for average, even though in his career that's gone up and down. So he's not like a lock for average. This is another one where I'm not really sure what you're getting when you're drafting Stephen Kwan, other than runs.
Yeah, no, well, average, I think he's a average play. I think there's, I mean, he's like a team build kind of guy. Like if you're in a position where you really need average, I think I could see drafting Stephen Kwan. I also find myself, this may just be me, but I find myself looking at the war room and seeing that I'm falling behind on batting average. And then every guy who comes up on the war room who helps with batting average, whether that's Kwan, Yandy Diaz, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Like there's certain guys who help with average. And every time those guys come up on the war room, I'm always like, I don't really need average. I never really draft average. I don't know. Like if I fall behind in it, that is. Like if I see myself falling behind average and it's like, oh, do I go Stephen Kwan or Jorge Solar? Maybe Solar gets lucky on average. I'm going Solar. Because it's much more fun to draft a guy with like crazy upside than draft like Stephen Kwan. With that said, if you really need average, I mean, I could see getting going in on Stephen Kwan. The one thing I will say, to your point about splits and what he did in the second half, like I do think he's a good average hitter, but the problem was, like in the second half, his hard hit was down a little bit. So like if his hard hit is down at all, because he's already like doesn't hit the ball hard. So if the hard hit is down even more, and in the second half last year, it was under 24% hard hit, which is just awful. So if his hard hit is down, and that, could be because maybe he's got like a nagging injury or, he's just not seeing the ball maybe as well for, like a month or a couple weeks. But if his hard hit is down, like he's really gonna like, it's already low, his hard hit. If it goes down anymore, it's going to be like in the gutter. And then you're really not going to get anything from Stephen Kwan. So the fact that like he hit 206 last year in the second half, like we're talking about a guy who you're drafting for average, and in almost 200 at bats in the second half he hit 206. It's like, oh, if he's not giving you average, and then you're really in trouble, because he's another guy on the Guardians where it's like he hasn't really shown that he wants to run, or they're putting the brakes on him. I don't know which it is, but yeah, I should draft Stephen Kwan in a few leagues. I just don't. That's, I guess, the long story of it right there.
Yeah, like you said, it's a little bit of a team build and really more of a deep league play. If you're in a shallower league, he's fine to grab and you can just put him in there, but there's going to be more fun guys to draft in your league if it's a shallower league. You're probably going to find him on the wire, or you're going to drop him back to the wire at some point, because even if he's hitting 300, he's stolen like one base in 2 weeks and done nothing else other than score runs. And it just doesn't look fun, even if it's, doing fine on a player rater basis.
Right. Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll say with like Stephen Kwan and anyone like needs wise, there's a it's like you not only do needs, I keep saying needs, not only do you need someone, like when you're building like a team, like it's like you get to a point where like the war room shows you what you need, and it's like not only do you need someone, but you also have to be willing to draft that someone, which I really struggle to do sometimes. Like I'll be like, oh, I really need steals. I should take Bryce Terang. and then it'll be like, ooh, but Jason Dominguez looks so good. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I think that's partially the reason sometimes my rankings look a little funky is because I will straight up bury some of those people, whereas you will let, the player rater and Rudy's projections rein you back in a little bit and be like, hey, you can't drop Lane Thomas to 85 overall in the outfielders. You got to move him up somewhere respectable. Whereas I'm just like, no, he's in the 60s somewhere. It's fine. Stephen Kwan, I don't have quite as far down, just because we've already seen him in this scenario. We know what it kind of looks like versus, again, what we saw when Lane Thomas got traded last year. Moving on to number 43, though, somebody who I do like and do draft, and that is Josh Lowe. 106 games last year at 10 home runs, 25 stolen bases, 37, 34, 241, 302, and 391. You have projected for 14 runs, 22 stolen bases, 51, 53, and 251. Do need him to stay healthy for a full season still. That would be great to see. The K rate is not ideal at 31.8% last year, but he did have a career best hard hit and average exit velocity. The launch angle's up some, and he had the best contact rate of his career. So a lot of good things to go with the really bad strikeout rate.
Yeah, no, completely. I mean, there's also another reason why he's like in this tier of who the F is you, because like I look at Josh Lowe's previous 2 seasons and it's like I'm so confused as to who he is. I really don't know. I mean, he goes from like 20 homers to 10 homers, 292 to 241, K's from 24.8 to 31.8. Like everything is sort of all over the map. The only thing that really held was his steals from one year to the next. So, the assumption I guess is he goes like, if he stays healthy, he gives you 15 to 18 homers. The steals stay, so 15 18 homers, 25 steals, and hopefully the average bounces back with the K's falling back to where they were the previous year. So then his average bounces back to like, maybe give him 260 or something. So I guess, that's kind of where it's at. Josh Lowe for me is like, he's been a hard guy for me to draft too. this whole tier has been really hard to draft because like, I mean, it's like you gotta draft guys where you're, somewhat confident in what you're getting. So yeah, I haven't been able to pull the trigger on Josh Lowe. I mean, a lot of people are taking him fairly at at a roughly 160 overall in the. Looks like he's going around the same spot as like Jason Dominguez, Colton Cowser. P. Crow Armstrong. So that sort of range. Dallas Garcia. That's Dallas Garcia is after the oblique, but it's hard to say exactly what people are thinking there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess all things considered, Josh Lowe is fine for a 15, 25, 260 250, 260 season, somewhere in that range. I haven't really been able to pull the trigger yet, but I guess if that's, if you need that, and also I'll say like, the Rays new stadium, I think, or not new, but the Yankees minor league stadium, or spring training, excuse me, the Steinbrenner Field. I'll say that's more interesting to me than probably any of the other than the A's. The A's stadium could be really good. I don't really know exactly though because of the whatchamacallit. It's like the dimensions aren't really much better. Like the dimensions in Sacramento are basically the same as they were in Oakland, except it's less foul territory. But the Rays, I mean, they're basically going to be playing in Yankee Stadium. Like Steinbrenner Field is purposely made to look like Yankee Stadium. So there's going to be a short porch. So Josh Lowe he could have a really nice season. I haven't drafted him though, so I don't know. It's hard. It's been hard for me to get on board, but it sounds like you like him.
I do. I mean, the power is a little bit fluctuating, but a little bit a little bit of that is games played. The strikeouts is maybe the biggest mystery to me. How he went from 25% to 32% essentially doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I think he kind of sits in the middle. Like he doesn't seem like a 32% strikeout guy when you watch him play. I don't think he's a 240 hitter. He actually hit the ball better, and like all the numbers kind of look in line for the most part. So I think it's really just him staying healthy. He's never going to play 150 because he's going to get platooned out because he's in Tampa. But maybe that's the biggest issue I have with him. Maybe going too high is like you're never going to get 150 out of him just because he plays in Tampa, even if we ignore the injury history. But there's power there. There's a lot of speed, and we've seen him hit for good average. So, yeah, when we get down here, when there's that much kind of capability still left in a player, I like it. And I think in regards to a build, you at least know you're getting the speed, not a useless amount of power, but the average is again very unpredictable. Um, let's move on to number 44, Parker Meadows. Last year in AAA, he had 8 home runs, 19 stolen bases, hit 250, 292, 388. Sorry, he had 292, 388, 495. In 82 games in the majors, he had 9 home runs, 9 stolen bases, hit 244, 310, 433. You have him down for 20 home runs, 26 stolen bases, 76, 60, 258. He had a 25.5% K rate, 8.4% walk rate. Really struggled when he came up and he got his first look, but then came back and was much better the second time around, Gray.
Yeah, no, I loved Parker Meadows early in the draft season when it was like January, February, up until the nerve issue in his arm. Then I backed off because I didn't want to get too pot committed after drafting him just about everywhere. I had him ranked like probably a good 15 outfielders higher. I was really in on Parker Meadows. The nerve issue, like the biggest problem for me is like they've been so non-communicado. It's like, what's going on, man? Is he okay? Is he not good? It's like, very vague proclamations of like, yeah, Parker Meadows would be fine for opening day, maybe. Like, wait, why did you add the maybe on the end of that? What's going on there? Yeah, Parker Meadows' arm is good. Possibly. Stop. Don't do that. Don't modify it with these vague adjectives. Yeah, I like Parker Meadows still, but I've struggled to draft him since early. Like early on, I think I drafted him in two leagues early on. But then, yeah, I stopped because I really don't know what the health issue is because like the arm, like the nerve issue, that sounds like scary to me. That sounds like a kind of situation where he might need surgery. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on there. It doesn't sound good though. Like it doesn't sound like it's not like, a hammy or an oblique, even an oblique, which is completely vague. It's like, but even that you have like some idea, like, okay, it's minor, it's major, it's like a strain, it's it's just sore. There's some sort of idea. With this, it's just like, oh, he has a nerve issue and he can't feel his arm. Like, what? What? I don't know, man. I wrote a sleeper post for him. I like Parker Meadows a lot, but I don't know with the health, so I've backed off of drafting him. Yeah, I think he's got good power and speed though, and if he's healthy, he could sneak into like I have him down for I had him for a huge year, a 2020 year. I was probably the highest out of anyone. And really good average. At least I thought good average. Like his strikeouts weren't bad. I was all about it. He had he had a solid second half, I believe. It was, yeah, everything looked good, but Yeah, I don't know. I backed off a lot because of the nerve issue.
Yeah, I did the same. Really, really, difficult to see from a guy we thought would be taking the next step. He has started doing light modified baseball activities, which would again sound so vague and not really optimistic. They're waiting for the nerve to wake up before he can dive back into baseball activities. I don't know much, Gray, but I don't think waiting for nerves to wake up is really a great way to approach things, generally speaking.
No,
So
no, no, I don't think so either. If you're there and you're like talking to your arm and being like, "Yo, wake up, bro," it's not good.
yeah, we're not talking about like your left ass cheek in the morning. This is a different scenario.
Yeah,
Um,
this isn't your foot falling asleep because you had Taco Bell the night before. This is you know what I'm saying. This isn't great. Does other people lose feeling in their feet when they have Taco Bell?
let's
maybe,
uh, let's move
maybe
on
that
with that
maybe
thought.
that's just me. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on. Number 45, my namesake, Brandon. Nemo, last year he had 23 home runs, 15 stolen bases, 88, 90, 224, 327, 399. You have him down 4. 24 home runs, 10 stolen bases, 83, 80, 241. I don't know where the 15 stolen bases came from, Gray. His previous high was 9 back in 2018. So, 7 years ago, he had 9. I don't know. He did struggle in the second half. Average definitely fell, along with himself when he fell and cut himself in his hotel room, which, always weird when some of those injuries come up and you wonder what actually happened. He also had shoulder discomfort in August, battled plantar fasciitis in his left foot for most of the season, which makes the stolen bases even weirder, Gray. I mean,
Yeah,
he's fine.
I know. Yeah, no, exactly. That's how I feel about kind of everyone on this tier. I mean, it's fine if good luck. I don't know. I actually in one draft I'm doing right now in the chat room, someone said something like, "Oh, I really like that Brandon Nemo pick," and I was like, I mean, I didn't say anything, but I was like, "Really? That's what you liked?"
Has anybody ever said that before?
I don't know. It was the first time I heard something like that. It was an interesting compliment. Out of all the picks on the board, it's like, yeah, Brandon Nemo, that's the one. Yeah, I mean, I think there might be something wrong with him now too. That I'm not like I don't know if the Mets have been completely upfront about like what's going on with him. Like it feels like to me, like this could be proven incorrect, but he feels like to me like a kind of guy where it's like there's no like there's very little news about him, and then we get to like the day before season starts, and the Mets are like, oh yeah, he's starting the year on the IL or something. Like that's how it feels like. It feels like we're headed that way because like it's been very weird, like his injury stuff where like you said the plantar fasciitis and then he which he said he showed up at camp with it still, so it bothered him all off season and it still bothers him, so that's gotta that's you would assume that would hurt the Steels a little bit. And then I think there's also like his knee is bothering him or something. Like there's
Yeah.
been a lot of like real like vague health warnings where he really feels like it feels like he's fine, and then it feels like we're going to get to the opening day and it's going to be like, yeah, Nemo's starting the year on the IL, Sterling Marte's in the outfield, and good luck. Go get him, guys. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're just going off of the previous couple seasons, you would assume 20-ish homers, handful of steals, 245 to 250 average, maybe. It depends because like his BABIP really fell last year. and that's usually a sign of a guy who's slowing, but then he also had the most steals. So I don't know. I'm not, again, Brandon Nemo's fine if you're like you're in the market for, assuming what he usually can do. And it's not like there's a ton of like, it's at his ADP, it's like him or Castellanos. I mean, they both have, everyone's got their every outfielder's got their issues at this point in the draft. So, he's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he had been a high average guy like the 4 seasons before, so there's potential that bounces back. But again, if he can stay healthy, and as you mentioned, it's already sounding like there's issues. He got a gel injection in his knee for his knee inflammation on Friday. Um, I don't know if I've ever heard of somebody getting a gel injection, Gray. So that's a new one for me, actually.
Yeah, I should get a gel injection in my head, my scalp, to this way hold my hair in place. I spend
Yeah.
a lot of money on hair gel. I'll be honest. It's like one of my number one expenditures. Anyway,
Let's move on to number 46, Nick Castellanos. Last year, 23 home runs, 6 stolen bases, 80, 86, 254, 311, 431. You have him down for 25 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 76, 83, and 248. Numbers are down across the board pretty much. 2 of the last 3 years, the numbers have been pretty bad. Does not hit the ball with the authority he once did. It's not awful. He's not like Xavier Edwards or Mason Wynn out there with contact, but from where he used to be, 37.7 is the lowest hard hit he's had since 2015.
yeah, yeah. I mean, at some point, like all these, well, not all these, but Castellanos and Nemo, they both feel similar in that, like, at some point the cliff's gonna come, they're gonna fall it off, they're gonna fall off the cliff, and at that point they're gonna become like Justin Turner going into this year. Like there's gonna, or Arenado. I don't know if Castellanos is at that point right now, but he could be. I mean, this could be the last year when we're drafting, Castellanos in the top 200 overall. This might be the end for him. The assumption is he's got one more year in him, I guess, and he's in a good lineup. So you would assume good counting stats, and he hasn't fallen off yet. So hopefully he doesn't fall off this year, I guess. It's really, I mean, there's a, again,
Really strong
like,
analysis.
this is this tier is, this tier's name is, yo, who the F is you? So I don't know. I mean, Castellanos is, he's obvious who he is because he's been in the league so long. But then again, you look at his numbers and you're like, it could be the end. I mean, this could be the last year where you're like excited about, or not even excited, but drafting him like, a counting stats and a solid, a solid-ish, power and some average and, a handful of steals. I think the end could come very quickly for Castellanos. Not to mention last year he had 162 games played. The last 2 years he's had almost 700 plate appearances. So if we get a year where his plate appearances go down to like 550, which isn't even that low, which is roughly like 140 games. So like 1.5 IL stints, like a day to day. Yeah, I mean, his numbers might look really terrible. It could be. I mean, there's some what ifs here that aren't that hard to imagine for Castellanos, for him falling off. So hopefully he's fine for one more year if you're drafting him.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of going, and he's been going down the the aging slugger path where the swing rate has gone up the last 3 seasons. The first strike rate's gone up the last 3 seasons. So just trying to like jump on that first pitch a little bit more aggressive, trying to find those pitches. Um, yeah, I mean, I think I have him probably in a similar area or maybe just a couple spots lower, just because of, as you mentioned, the consistency, and he's gonna play. Like if he's healthy, he's playing. He's in the middle of the lineup, and this was some of the last guys that you can kind of say that about as we move forward. There's a little bit more playing time questions that start to come up with some of the later guys.
Yep.
Next up is number 47, Jake McCarthy. Last year at 8 home runs, 25 stolen bases, 66, 56, 285, 349, 400. You can them for 10 home runs, 27 stolen bases, 67, 63, and 281. The sub 16% K rate was the best of his career. Doesn't hit the ball hard, never has. Still really fast, 14th in sprint speed. He's Jake McCarthy still.
Yeah, if you take like his 2022 year, he had 8 homer, 23 steals, and then last year, as you mentioned, 8 homers and 25 steals. He hit 283 in 2022, and then 285 last year. So if you were to just remove 2023, you're looking at a guy who consistently is 8 homers, 25 steals, 285. That's really, I mean, and he should be hitting in the middle of the Diamondbacks lineup. So, I mean, that's pretty good. The issue is he had that 2023 season where he looked terrible. So there was that. And also like he doesn't, it doesn't feel like he doesn't hit the ball hard. So like it doesn't feel like the 8 homers is the beginning of like him launching off into a superstar status. Like, all the projections are saying, roughly 8 to 10 homers, 25-ish steals, all that's good. And 280 average, which is, that's not bad. There is that, it's just like that question mark of 2023 when he was so awful, just like completely awful. That is, that's sort of like the only real worry. I don't know. I mean, Jake McCarthy, again, I haven't drafted him because he's he's another team builds guy where it's like if you need steals, then he's a lot more interesting. But yeah, I mean, it may turn out that he's actually underrated a little bit. So I don't know. I don't hate him, but I also haven't drafted him, so there's that.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't hate him. I haven't drafted him. That being said, I have a lot of other speed targets that I'm looking at late in the draft. So at some point, I have enough speed, and that's basically what he's given you. I do think there's still a little bit of upside here for speed as he's put up 25, 26 stolen bases in less than a full season, 99 games in 22 and 23 when he stole around that amount. So I think there's actually a little bit more upside here. He seems like a high average hitter doing it 2 out of 3 years. Oddly enough, he doesn't hit well in the bouncy ball years. So I don't know what's going on with those numbers grade, but maybe he just likes the dead balls. I can't quite explain that. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for speed late, you can do a lot worse than Jake McCarthy. And as you mentioned, probably a little underrated for the numbers he can actually potentially provide. Moving on to the next tier 7. Number 48 is Michael Toglia, who we've talked about before. Number 49 is Tyler O'Neill. Last year in 113 games, had 31 home runs, 4 stolen bases, 74, 61, 241, 336, 511. You him down for 33 home runs, 6 stolen bases, 77, 83, 236. He had an infection in his lower leg and a minor finger issue last year, Gray. So definitely missed a few games to those. Always seems to miss some time, whether it's platooning or injury. 33.6% K rate is not great. The worst we've seen from him since 2019. But all the contact quality numbers bounced back after a down 2023 at least.
Yeah, I think expecting a better year because of health is probably the wrong thing to do, but expecting him to be good for power for 125 to 135 games, I think that's fair. I'm done waiting for more. I don't think, I think if he gives you more, then great. But you can't draft him expecting more at this point. Like it's just not, it's just not going to happen. Or if it does, then great. But it's like it'll just be random. Whatchamacallit, just be a random fluke if he gives you more than the 120-ish games that he's going to always give you. But yeah, I mean, I think he's in a good lineup. They moved defenses in. I like them. I think this whole tier of guys, like this tier that we're talking about now, Michael Toglia, Tyler O'Neill, and going forward, this tier is guys I like a decent amount, but they obviously have some flaws in their game. It's why they're ranked in around the 50th outfielder off the board and not like the 10th outfielder off the board. I mean, Tyler O'Neill, I like him. I just expect 450-ish at bats at best.
Yeah. And even with Baltimore's change, I don't expect it to be nearly as good as Boston is for righties. It's hard to beat Boston as far as right-handed ballpark goes. Moving on here, number 50, Taylor Ward. Last year he had 25 runs, 6 stolen bases, 73, 75, hit 246, 323, and 426. You have him down for 27 runs, 7 stolen bases, 83, 76, 253. The K rate is never the same, but he does take a walk. Numbers are in line with what he's been doing the last few years. And it was nice to see him get 156 games last year, Gray. I mean, Taylor Ward's always been kind of one of those StatCast guys. He hits the ball very hard. Just the numbers don't necessarily always reflect, what maybe the contact quality seems like it should.
Yeah, yeah, he's definitely like sort of dreamcaster a little bit with put Taylor Ward's Statcast in one hand and a bag of crap in the other hand, and which hand fills up first? I don't know if that's the expression necessarily, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, I like Taylor Ward. Actually, I think I've drafted him. I like him, but again, it's like you're hoping for something he's never done in his career. Like you're hoping for that sort of like huge year that his peripherals sort of wink at. And I think, but the reality is you're probably drafting a 24 to 26 homer, 5 to 7 steal, 250 hitter, which in reality, I mean, it's a little bit less than Tyler O'Neill, who we just talked about. I mean, in reality, it's not great. It's not bad. It's just not like anything to write home about. What his projections are at the end of the day. But there is that hope that he can do more. So unlike Castellanos or Nemo or John. Well, you like Josh Lowe, but unlike some of the guys we mentioned a little bit earlier, like those guys, there's probably nothing but down in their stats. Whereas Taylor Ward, there's at least some promise of more in his stats. We haven't seen that, and it's sort of just wish fulfillment at this point. But you never know. I mean, he does make good contact. I think anything the Angels touch turns to crap. So that's not a good thing that the Angels are a cursed organization. But yeah, I mean, I do think there's probably a little bit of upside here with Taylor Ward, even though we've never really seen it.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of upside, and he does have a very assured job, a pretty set place atop the lineup. So that feels good. Although we said that about Taylor Ward before, he lost both of those things at different times. So it feels safe, a little bit of upside, but yeah, it just doesn't feel like the whole package is quite there, Gray. Number 51, Victor Robles. Last year in 91 games, 4 home runs, 34 stolen bases, hit 307, 381, 433. You have him down for 8 home runs, 34 stolen bases, 76, 47, and 287. He had 77 games in Seattle, only 14 in Washington. In Seattle, he went 4 home runs, 30 stolen bases, and hit 328. 150 games it'd be another guy that'd be nice to see that from. But 4 and 30 is not half bad, Gray.
No, I think I wrote a sleeper post for Victor Robles. I like Victor Robles a lot. He's a lot more team build than some of these other guys that I like a lot in this tier. Like I like everyone in this tier, from Taglia, O'Neill to Ward, to Robles. I like them all. Robles is a little bit more of a team builds guy though, where like if you need steals, then he's a lot more attractive in drafts than if you don't need steals. I also think like he's a little bit underrated when it comes to batting average. Most projections have him hitting, 245 to 250 in that range. Some even have him hitting like 240. But he hit 299 in 2023. A little bit more than just a little bit more than a month of a season. He was injured, but last year in 91 games he hit 307. So it's 2 years in a row, not full years obviously, but in the last 127 games he's hit 300. So I don't really know if maybe his average falls, but he doesn't strike out a ton. He has a high BABIP, but that comes with the territory when you have speed, which he still has. So yeah, I like Robles a lot. He's definitely, I'm drafting him more looking for steals than anything, but I do think he's probably more valuable than like where his draft spot is.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about when we talked about Lane Thomas. I said there's some guys I like grabbing speed from more, and Robles is one of them. I just feel like if I want speed and that's what I'm looking for, Robles feels like a much safer bet. And as you mentioned, I think there's really good upside here for average. He's done it, I mean, kind of like for a full season over the last 2 seasons, I guess, if you just kind of combine the numbers. But I mean, he's definitely changed his approach a little bit from when he was really struggling to even just put the ball in play early in his career. So I think he's being punished in projections for, a player he's not anymore. Moving on, number 52 is Willie Castro. We've already talked about him. Number 53 is Kerry Carpenter. Last year in 87 games, 18 home runs, 37, 57, 284, 345, and 587. You have him down for 24 home runs, 4 stolen bases, 62, 74, and 279. He had the best hard hit, average exit velocity, barrel rate, the launch angle was up. Everything was looking good on Carpenter, and then he dealt with a back issue in the middle of the season. But he was good when he was on the field, Gray.
Yeah, no, he's definitely. I mean, he's kind of like a splits queen, right? I mean, it's all about the splits with him. I believe it's versus righties, which is the good side to be good against. I don't know if he's going to really even face lefties. If he does, I actually I kind of wish I hope he faces lefties because it'll help him. If he faces, maybe the more comfortable he gets against them. Last year he was terrible against lefties. Was a 107 hitter versus lefties. So yeah, I don't know how much opportunity he's going to get against them, but against righties he's excellent. Good enough where I have him ranked pretty high, all things considered. for a guy who really should only face righties, according to his stats at least. I don't know, uh, but yeah, I mean, as of right now, I'm not sure if there's really, because of the injuries with Parker Meadows, who we mentioned, Matt Verling, who we haven't mentioned, but also is injured, has a strained rotator cuff. So the Tigers are a little bit shallow in their depth pieces. So Carpenter possibly could be facing righties and lefties. I hope he does, just to see what he looks like against lefties. But if nothing else, he's great against righties, to the point where it's like, yeah, I draft him everywhere. And if you're in a situation where he's going to face a couple tough lefties and you can bench him, then go for it. But otherwise, he's worth drafting and starting, because like he's been really good. He's like one of the few Tigers who's actually, Riley Green he was good too. Riley Green is good. But there's a couple Tigers hitters, Torkelson. So yeah, I like Carpenter though. I would draft him for sure.
Yeah, I like Carpenter as well. He feels kind of like the power version of Robles. Should give you a pretty decent average. Should hit a high up in the order. So just depending on which build you happen to be in this section, you might go with one of these guys. And as with pretty much everybody in this tier, it'd be really nice to get 150 games out of them. Number 54, Lars Nootbaar. Last year in 109 games, he had 12 home runs, 7 stolen bases, hit 244, 342, and 417. You have him down for 23 home runs, 10 stolen bases, 72, 75, 266. He had a career best average exit velocity and hard hit, both being in the top 30. The 52% ground ball rate and 6-degree launch angle is not helping, though, to convert those hard hit into the numbers we need sometimes. However, there's always somebody in the draft room who feels like that loves him gray.
I might be that guy. I like Lars Nootbaar. I think he's okay. It's like, depends on what your expectations are. If you're expecting a 30 plus homer guy, then probably not going to happen. But if he can get, he should be really solid for average, at least 265-ish, which, a 265 average nowadays is basically your Ted Williams, essentially. If you're hitting 265. And then with his power is, yes, he hits a lot of ground balls, but he does hit the ball hard. So you would think if he can elevate just like a maybe 15 to 18 homers in another, like if he's basically 18 homers across 120 games, give him 150 games if he can stay healthy. That's sort of been his problem too. He hasn't really been able to stay on the field. So if he can stay healthy, get to 20 plus homers, and he has 10 steal speed, I don't know. I like him as like a guy who should be at the top of the Cardinals lineup, hit for a good average, right between Mason Wynn and Contreras, hitting number 2. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that long ago when I think everyone liked Lars Nootbaar. Coming out of the WBC last year, everyone was drafting him as if maybe in the top 120-ish, I think, last year. So he's fallen a bit in people's eyes, but he's still only 27 years old. I don't hate it. He's definitely, like, he's got issues, like you mentioned, the ground balls, but there's also, like, there's not a ton of guys around him in drafts where it's like, they're just perfect specimens. Draft those instead. So I don't know. I don't mind Lars Nootbaar. I've warmed to him this year. I didn't like him last year.
Yeah, sounds like you like him more than I do. I don't know where you're coming up with this magic 265 average that he's never hit in his life. Again, he doesn't play 150. I don't think even if he's healthy, he would play 150. And it's just so like meh numbers. I can't get excited about him. Like I said, somebody else is always more excited about the half season of mediocrity than I am. But we're into a lot of that in this section. A lot of half season or 2/3 seasons of middling production, or maybe like a month of good production, and then they're just hurt. But let's move on to the next tier here, Gray. Number 55, Cedric Mullins. Last year at 18 home runs, 32 stolen bases, 69, 54. He hit 234, 305, 405. You project for 15 home runs, 28 stolen bases, 61, 63, and 231. Really struggled to start the season, hitting 185 through the first 2 months, and then hit 262 the rest of the season. The speed ticked back up a little bit after dropping in 23, which was nice to see. Everything else kind of in line with what he was doing previously. So I don't know. There's some mixed messages here in the numbers, Gray.
Yeah, he's also, what is he? He's lefty, so the fence moving in isn't going to help him. So yeah, I mean, he's basically a 15 homer guy. It's 15 homers, 235 hitter with steals that you're either going to get 20 steals, 25 steals, 30 steals, or 35 steals, depending on how much he ends up running. I don't mind it. It's just, it's basically whether or not you want, how much you want steals, right? I mean, it's fine. I don't really see any upside anymore. I think, his 30 homer year in 2021 is just, in retrospect, is just such a fluky year. It was his peak. He's 26 years old. He played in 159 games. I mean, everything just went totally right for him that year. Not to mention the bouncy ball. And then the fences were in too at that point. But I don't really see the power bouncing back this year, even though the fences are back to where they were. So yeah, I mean, 15 to 20 homers, 20 steals to 20 to 35 steals, 230 average. It's fine.
Yeah, perfectly fine. Again, if you're looking for this kind of build, speed with a little bit of power, but these you see around here, and there's still a little bit of upside. I think we've seen him hit. I don't think he's hitting 30. I'm with you on that, but he can put up 20, I think, and that's not unreasonable. And the speed's still there, so not the worst thing you potentially do. Number 56, Jorge Soler. He might have actually brought the average age of the Angels back down a little bit at 33 years old, Gray.
And Ron Washington is like the third youngest person on that team.
He had last year, Soler had 21 home runs, stolen base, 84 runs. I don't have the RBI number here. Sorry. 241, 338, 442. You have him down for 27 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 71, 74. 234 average. K rate was fine. Walk rate was the best of his career. He was bad in San Francisco. Better once he got back to Atlanta. Angel Stadium is good for righties, I guess, and he should play. What are your thoughts on Soler here?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually, where he's going in drafts, I've found myself liking Soler more in practice for actual drafts versus the rankings would lead you to believe I don't really like him. I mean, I still don't love him, but for where he's going in drafts, there's very little, if you need power when you get to that point in drafts, and it's Jorge Soler, it's his 36 homer year in 2023 appears a lot closer in the rearview mirror when you're in the middle of a draft and you need power. It's there's there's very little guys around there. It dries up real fast. It's like, oh, do you want Jorge Soler or Byron Buxton? Like, oh god. Oh man. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind Jorge Soler if you're like going for like a power play for like maybe get 30 plus homers, but it's probably going to come with a bad average. I don't know how many counting stats he's going to get. He did have 64 RBIs last year for those who are completists and missed beat on saying the RBIs. Yeah, I mean, he's fine for homers. That's about it though. I mean, he doesn't steal any bags. He will play, if he's healthy. I could see him, playing 150 plus games. Like I don't see them taking him out of the lineup ever. So yeah, I mean, he's fine if you need homers. That's about it.
Yeah, I agree. He's kind of one of those guys that if you do end up short on power, he just seems like a guy that gets bumped up your draft board a little bit. Whereas when you're ranking, like you can't really move him above some of the other guys who are going to put up better numbers across the board potentially, even if it's a little bit more boring. But yeah, I completely agree, Gray. Let's move on. Number 57 is Luke Raley, who we've talked about already in the first baseman. So number 58 is Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Last year in 133 games, he had 18 home runs, 7 stolen bases, 72, 75, 279, 322, and 435. You have him down for 20 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 71, 78, and 271. He upped the launch angle from 10.5, 11 to 15.7. Average exit velocity went down a little bit, though, along with hard hit rate, under 40% for the first time in his career. Did have a few minor issues kind of throughout the season that may have hindered him. What are your thoughts on Gurriel?
He's actually, I think there could be, we should reach out to like the Stanford or Berkeley or some university with a science department and have drafters get hooked up to a heart rate monitor and see like when it's their turn and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is at the top of their queue and see what happens with their heart. Because I'm guessing the heart rate plummets really fast. Because I've literally, I find it impossible to draft Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Even though everything in me says like he's the perfect guy to draft for this team. I look at him and I'm like, I cannot draft him. I can't do it. Like no matter what, no matter how many times he's at the top of my queue, I'm like, oh God, I can't do it. I just can't draft him. Unfortunately, even knowing what I know and knowing like he's been really solid like in the past on the on the player rater, like last year he was the 24th best outfielder last year. He was like a top 100 player overall. He's going so much later than that. I still can't do it. Even knowing what I know, I find it almost impossible to draft Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I don't know. Maybe actually that might be another reason to like I could Sharpie onto my computer screen. Like I'll write Jason Dominguez where Lourdes Gurriel Jr.'s name is, and maybe I could click it then. Maybe then I can get Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I have to write a different name over it though, and then I can't scroll my screen because then the name will move. It'll get very confusing. But yeah, I don't know, man. I know Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is valuable. I just really struggle to draft him.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put Matt McLean in at the top of at the top of where my queue would sit. That way I'm just always drafting him regardless who's there. And then, usually as drafts go, there's a value at this that just sits at the top that nobody wants, like a Lourdes Gurriel Jr. So maybe that'd be like the best team ever, Gray. Just pick whoever's ever at the top because nobody wants them. And barring the injury guys, I think it might work, Gray.
It's also really kind of goofy with Lawrence Gurriel Jr. Like before it's my turn to draft, I absolutely queue up Lawrence Gurriel Jr. like I'm gonna draft him. Like I'm not gonna completely ignore the fact that he's on my queue. Like I'm looking at him in I queue him up and then it becomes my turn and I ignore my queue and take someone else. Like why did I even bother queuing him up? I know I'm not gonna take him, but I'll queue him up every time.
Yep. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why my rankings change constantly. As I sit in draft rooms and I'm like, I don't want him here. Why do I have him ranked here? Like I'm telling people to draft him. I don't want him. And so I just bury said person in my ranking. And then I go back to it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why is Lourdes Gurriel Jr. so far down? It's like, oh yeah, I didn't want him ever. That's right. That's why I buried him. But number 59, Gray. Wilyer Abreu, 132 games last year, 15 home runs, 8 stolen bases, 59, 58, hit 253, 322, 459. You have him down for 17 home runs, 10 stolen bases, 53, 60, and 255, 28% K rate, 8.9% walk rate. Did hit the ball very hard, 16th in hard hit, 34th in average exit velocity, and 62nd in barrel. I guess, do you think he plays every day? There's certainly no shortage of outfield options there.
Yeah, I mean, well, right now he's out with having he had a bad fish dinner and he's out. he ate,
Bad fish tacos,
yeah,
get you.
he had bad fish tacos. So he's out for maybe he also gets a numb foot when he has eats Taco Bell. I don't know. Yeah, I mean I hear what you're saying. My big takeaway with him with Abreu is like he did play just about all the time last year when he was healthy. So like why would he, I mean they bench him against some tough lefties, I guess, but he has he's got a good glove. So I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying though. It's like they do have options and they have Roman Anthony coming up and Christian Campbell is like taking outfield. I don't know. The Red Sox are such a goofy team. It's like, oh yeah, we have all these. There's a few teams like this. It's like, let's develop a bunch of great prospects and then never play them. Like
change their position at the last second.
Yeah, like Jaron Duran finally had a full season last year and he's 28 and a half years old. It's like why would they held him back for so long? And they're like, it's like, oh yeah, we have to play Trevor Story and then we'll get Alex Bregman and we'll make him our second baseman. It's like, guys, you got Christian Campbell as the minor league player of the year. Like, what are you doing, man? So dumb. Like, it doesn't make sense. But with that said, I mean, I think Abreu is in, he played for them just about every game last year when he was healthy. And like I said, he sits against some tough lefties, but he was a top 60 outfielder last year on the player rater. He plays for them, assuming his plantar fasciitis or whatever he's got going on in his belly. Assuming that his tummy ache is better fairly quickly, I think he'll be in the lineup for the most part, just about every game. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. He hit the ball hard, like you said. So I mean, I think there's a little bit of upside here. I don't mind Abreu, really. I do think there's there's a bit of a cap on his ceiling when it comes to power. But I think he's got more speed than he showed last year. He could hit for a better average because of the monster, and also he played already, so there's some familiarity there. So I guess they play him, but there's also the risk that they do have a bunch of prospects that at some point they're going to play him.
Yeah, that's my primary concern is just there's a lot of prospects. They're, as you mentioned, they're trying out different guys in the outfield to see what they can do because their infield's pretty set as is, at least, until Trevor Story spikes himself. So yeah, that's my only concern. I like Wilyer Abreu. I again, he hits the ball very hard. It's it's a perfectly good part for him to be in, obviously. So there's plenty of things going for him. I just don't know. Ultimately, does he hold down, a full time job, or is somebody you have to kind of manage depending on the matchups? Most of the time, it doesn't matter when we get in this area, but just something to bring up. Number 60, Jesus Sanchez, last year at 18 home runs, 16 stolen bases, 60, 64, 252, 313, 417. You have projected for 20 home runs, 9 stolen bases, 61, 66, 251. Had the career best K rate at 26%, best average exit velocity and hard hit of his career, coming in at 14th and 17th, respectively. Among majors, 7.7-degree launch angle and 50% ground ball. Not ideal, again, for what we want out of him. Kind of a similar build here, Sanchez and Abreu, in that just not quite converting that hard hit into the power numbers yet.
Yeah, I actually kind of like Jesus Sanchez. I think there could be a little bit of upside with his power. My main takeaway for him is he should, assuming he's healthy, he should play like 150-ish games. Like there's no reason why he won't play, and he should probably hit third. Usually in any lineup, hitting third is usually like worth a draft pick. It becomes a little bit borderline when you start talking about the Marlins and the White Sox and a few other teams. But hitting third does help, and I think there's a little bit of power upside. So yeah, I don't mind it. I think he's hit 250 for 3 of the last 4 years. While that isn't, a 300 hitter, 250, he shouldn't tank your average. And somehow he stole 16 bags last year, which it does not seem repeatable on one hand, but on the other hand, I mean, it's the Marlins, so maybe they let him run. I don't know. But I could see a scenario where he gets like, say 20 homers, 12 steals, 250, batting third. That's kind of like, that's sort of like the guy who's like perfect for a deep league or like an NL only league. Like that's a really solid outfielder for a deep league. And then for a shallow league, like in a 12-team mixed league, you're gonna have him for like 3 days, and you're gonna be like, I don't know who's available on waivers. It's hard to hold that in a shallow league where there's so many other guys available. But in a deep league, that does become valuable.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also potential he could get traded. I think he has 2 more years left with the Marlins, and we know that they're not really going to spend. So there's an outside chance he could potentially be on the move, which anybody leaving that stadium has to help a little bit, even if they're beating the ball into the ground pretty consistently.
Yeah,
Number
that's
61.
the problem with Jesus Sanchez getting traded is he's a lefty. You're assuming if he gets traded, he's going to go to a playoff contender. So you would assume that they have a better bat from, against lefties. So then, Jesus Sanchez gets traded to a better team, but starts platooning. Potentially. I mean, this is all hypothetical, obviously, but it's a potential.
Yeah, it was certainly a potential. Unless he gets traded because there's a massive set of injuries to one team, and he
Yeah,
plays every day. Anything
true.
can happen. Great.
That's
Just let me live in imagination land sometimes. Great. Come
Sorry.
on.
My bad.
Moving. Speaking of imagination land, mayor, longtime mayor Byron Buxton comes in at 61. 102 games last year, 18 home runs, 7 stolen bases, 62, 56, 279, 335, 524. You him down for 20 home runs, 8 stolen bases, 66, 63, 253. It has been 8 years since he last played 140 games, Gray.
Wow.
Really, since
Wow.
um,
That is a long time. That's a pretty lengthy track record of never playing. That is impressive in its lack of impressiveness. Yeah. Byron Buxton, he's now to the point where like there's still I think maybe not. There's no shine anymore on like whether or not he can hit have a great year. Like I think the whole quote unquote great year from Byron Buxton's, that's never happening. I think everyone realizes that. So there's a chance he gives you 20 homers, 7 steals, and a 250 average, which is essentially what I just said for Jesus Sanchez. So that's why they're ranked next to each other. Byron Buxton probably has no upside, but he also, at this point, like if you're assuming the risk of like he's not going to stay on the field for more than 350 at bats, then fine. If you assume that risk, then and you take the 20 homers, 7 steals, 250 average, then he's fine. I just don't expect more.
yeah, I tend to agree. I think there's still not like the Byron Buxton, big season we thought, but there's probably still a 25, maybe 30 if we get real bouncy balls one season in there. But yeah, I'm with you, Gray. And definitely not going to play a bunch of games. So take that into account depending on the depth of your league. Number 62, Jurickson Profar. Last year at 24 runs, 10 stolen bases, 94, 85, hit 280, 380, 459. You have him down for 17 home runs, 7 stolen bases, 63, 60, and 263. He had a career best barrel rate, hard hit, and average exit velocity. Average bat speed is up from 2023, as is his fast swing rate up from 2023, since we only have 2 years of data on that so far. But, Jurickson Profar was kind of left for dead by even Major League Baseball. Got a very late signing and then was great, Gray, for real baseball and our game, putting a lot of counting stats up. Moves over to Atlanta. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think he's having I think last I heard he was having he had a bone bruise. I see. He was having a CT scan on his wrist, and I was waiting to hear the news on that. It looks like he has a bone bruise, so that means he's probably going to be fine for opening day. Okay, so I think with Profar, taking out like if you're at a point where it's like hard to find serious, a guy who's like seriously exciting. So if you take out the fact that you're not getting exciting, and you're fine with that, Profar has been, pretty reliable to give like around 20 homers, 10 steals, and 260-ish average. I have him projected for 263. So yeah, in that range. 17 to 21 homers, maybe 17 to 22 homers, 7 to 12 steals, 265 average. It's fine. It's not that dramatically different than whatchamacallit, than Byron Buxton. Probably a little bit better of reliability to stay on the field, but not tremendously. Profar he mixes in 125 game seasons. Compared to Byron Buxton, he is like an Iron Man. He's basically Lou Gehrig compared to Byron Buxton. So yeah, I will. I'll give him that. But yeah, at some point, I do think Acuna is going to return. Right, that's hopefully going to happen. So Profar will move down the lineup. I don't know where to. I guess he'll hit fifth or sixth, but other things can happen between now and then. Jerickson Profar could hit as low as seventh or eighth, I guess. I mean, the Braves lineup in theory is good when Acuna returns, that is. So, I don't know. But he's fine. He's just, kind of boring, right? It's fine.
He is kind of boring. I will say, like, when we're looking at the boring top portion of lineup hitters, I mean, like, I don't see like a whole lot of difference between him and the guy we led off the show with in Lane Thomas or Stephen Kwan. Actually, I think I might have Profar ranked over both of them. Um, I see what you're saying in regards to his batting order. I think he actually is just going to go from 1 to 2. Whenever Kenny comes back, he's just going to drop to 2, and everybody kind of move back a spot.
He might. Yeah.
But that lineup is one that we're still waiting to see what it's going to look like when healthy in general, because like Albies could still hit 2, at least versus lefties. There's a chance Harris could hit 2. They could let Riley hit 2. I mean, there's any number of ways that the Braves could go in that lineup. So there is certainly some mystery around Profar as the season progresses. Next tier 9, number 63, Garrett Mitchell, 69 games last year at 8 home runs, 11 stolen bases, 33, 21, hit 255, 342, 469. You have him down for 12 home runs, 22 stolen bases, 58, 64, 241. He had a 31.7% strikeout rate, but did have an 11.2 walk rate to go with it. The 2.8 degree launch angle and 56% ground ball rate are not ideal, Gray. But he did have a 29% home run to fly ball on his 22.5% fly balls.
Whoa. Wow.
So the 1 out of 5 times he put a ball in play, 30% of those times he hit a home run.
Wow. That's weird. That is bizarre. Yeah, I mean, it's like, he is basically like he looks great if like you prorate his numbers out. Can he actually stay on the field? I don't know. The ground balls that sounds super worrisome. I don't know if I remembered noticing his ground balls. I mean, I must have when I projected him. I gave him 12 homers. It's kind of crazy that actually people who are usually much more conservative than me have him projected for like 15 to 17 homers, depending on how many games you give him. So I have him. Yeah, I have him actually lower on power. So I guess I did notice the ground balls. I mean, 30% homer per fly ball is kind of hard to keep. It's not easy to maintain that. I mean, he's got a little bit of upside. He's like, he's your fifth outfielder sort of. He's a fifth outfielder flyer in a 12-team mixed league where you draft them, you hold them until like April 12th, and then you're like, I don't know. TJ Friedel's kind of hot. Should I trade them out? I mean, Garrett Mitchell's fine if you want to try for some upside. He is penciled into the middle of the Brewers lineup. I think they really like him. So I do think he's actually going to play, but he hasn't. This is like, I think, going on what, year number 2 when he's had a everyday job that he just hasn't been able to convert. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I see he's the kind of guy where it's like we could get to the end of the year and he could be a top 25 outfielder and it wouldn't shock me. Or also we could get to like middle of April and it could be like, yeah, just drop him. There's no reason to hold on to him.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're going to be able to figure it out real quick because you're just going to see is he still beating the ball on the ground or not. So in that aspect, it should be an easy drop. Like either he's going to lift the ball and become maybe a more well-rounded player for our game, or he's going to be a, a ground ball hitter who gets some steals in the middle of a lineup. So yeah, I guess for what it's worth, his fly ball rate did go up each month that he was up. He hit more home runs and had more stolen bases each month that he was up. However, his average also dropped each month he was up. So a little bit of a sliding scale there in regards to the results. So we'll see what happens with Garrett Mitchell. As you mentioned, it's hard to find upside down here. So when you do, it's still kind of exciting. Number 64, Jung-Hoo Lee. Last year in 37 games, had 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases, hit 262, 310, 331. You have him projected for 8 home runs, 14 stolen bases, 81, 52, 288. He had an 8% K rate and a 6.3% walk rate. Never really got going last year, just had a bunch of small things and then dislocated his shoulder. But is scheduled to hit third in the lineup currently. And, as most teams struggle to find leadoff hitters, the Giants have like 8 of them on their team, Gray. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they have 8 leadoff hitters and 0 number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5.
But then they got a couple 8 hitters, Gray. So
then they
balance
have
the stuff
yeah,
out.
that's true. Then they have 3 8 hitters. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like as I'm looking at his numbers, I kind of want to draft him now more than I did before. I don't know. I mean, he kind of strikes me as, I looked at him originally as Stephen Kwan, but like, a few rounds later and with, a little bit more unknown because of the lack of major league playing time that he's had so far because he was out all last year with an injury. So I sort of thought of him as that, like just a batting average play, but I don't know. I mean, he hit 2 homers in like a little bit over a month last year. He has 2 homers in spring training so far. I don't know. Maybe we're underestimating how much he can, get into a couple balls here and there. I don't expect a 30 homer guy, like nowhere near that. I think, he's probably going to top out at like 12 to maybe 14 homers, but 12 to 14 homers and he hits 290. There's something. I mean, that's something. That's not nothing. And he could chuck in maybe 15 steals if he goes 15, 15, 290. I mean, it's like that's a more a rise. It's yeah. I mean, that's more Stephen Kwan, Luis Arise than than Luis Arise and Stephen Kwan. if that makes any sense, it's like that's good. I think that's really, I don't know. And there's like a little bit more unknown. I don't know. I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing now as I look at them, and I'm about to make a draft pick in one of these leagues. I'm on the clock, as they say, and I'm looking at Jung Ho Lee, and I don't know, I might draft him. I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested too, Gray. I was looking at the numbers as I was doing my rankings and then preparing for the show, and each time I look at him, I'm just like, yeah, there's still a little bit here, and he was going, I think 20 picks earlier last year, and literally nothing's changed here. So, dislocated shoulder isn't great, but it's not like a torn tendon in the shoulder where it is career ending. So yeah, I'm with you. I think there's a little bit of an interesting play here in Jung-Hoo Lee.
Oh, forget. Tristan Cockcroft just drafted him in the round that we're in. Forget it.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I do actually think he's a really nice play in a points league, potentially, just because he's never going to strike out. So, for a different format, he might move up the board quite a bit, actually. Number 65, like in, I don't know, the Raz Slam. He's very interesting as a 4th outfielder. Number 65, TJ Friedel. Last year in 85 games, had 13 home runs, 9 stolen bases, hit 226, 310, 380. You him down for 16 home runs, 25 stolen bases, 77, 62, 243. He had a 15% K rate, 7.6% walk rate, and a 229 BABIP. certainly didn't help the average. But then again, it's not like he hits the ball hard either. But then again, Gray, he's in Cincinnati, so you don't really have to. So where are you at on TJ Friedel?
I drafted Friedel in one league already, and after I drafted him, I was kind of thinking, like, why did I just draft him?
What does he give me?
I'm not really sure. He was at the top of the war room for like 3 rounds. So at that point, I was like, well, I guess, go with Rudy, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he probably should have 15-ish homers, right? Because of, the park, like you mentioned. He hit 13 homers last year, 18 homers the year before. So say like 15-ish homers in he does have 25 he stole 27 bags in 2023. He only stole 9 last year, but say give him 17 homers. So excuse me, give him 15 homers, 17 steals. Not bad. I mean, it's fine. Last year he had a 226 average with a 15% strikeout rate, which is, I mean, that tells me it was either he was hitting the ball really softly or he was unlucky. It might be a little bit of both. He was hitting the ball really bad. Okay, so he made really terrible contact, hit a lot of weak fly balls. So it's not what you want to see. But he also, I mean, his BABIP should be probably closer to like 260 versus 229. If he hits 260 BABIP, should lead to around a 245 average. So 15 homers, 20 steal speed, 245 average. That's fine. He should be playing every day, or nearly every day, depending on how many lefties he faces, but he should probably, I would think he plays most days. So yeah, I mean, 15, 20, 245, it's okay. If it's coming at as a leadoff man in Cincinnati, yeah. I mean, for a deep league, it's not, you can do worse in a deep league.
Yeah, and it kind of depends on how many people the Reds are willing to cycle in and out of the outfield. Like, are they going to allow Christian Encarnacion Strand to play some outfield, or are they going to potentially let I don't know, Noelvin Marte get some time in the outfield, and that may cut into some other playing time just in general across the board in Cincinnati. But yeah, I mean, he should lead off a majority of times, even if he's in a weak side platoon. Yeah, you could do worse than TJ Friedel.
Don't forget about Stuart Fairchild. A quick Stuart Fairchild, Cincinnati Reds outfielder or soap opera star? Quick.
Wasn't he the guy in
on your phone? Hit A for soap opera star or hit number 2. Plug in now. Pull over. If you're listening to this when you're in your car, pull over and type on your phone whether or not a soap opera star or a Cincinnati Reds outfielder.
I thought he was that character in Living Color that was like had the bowl cut and was carried around by his mother. That's what I thought Stuart Fairchild was, but I could be wrong, Gray.
The Reds always manage to have one random outfielder come out of nowhere and be incredibly valuable. Like I'm thinking of you, Scott Schliebler. I'm looking at you, Aristides Aquino. I think this year's random Reds outfielder is going to come out of nowhere and be valuable is Austin Hayes. Nothing to do with Fairchild or Friedel.
Nothing to do with this at all. Yeah, I think it's Jake Fraley, but hey, it could be anybody, Gray.
It could be anyone. That is true.
Number 66, JJ Bleday. Last year had 20 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 74, 60, hit 243, 324, 437. You have him projected for 27 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 76, 82, 252. He had a 19.5% K rate, which is the best of his career, along with a 10.5% walk rate Had a really nice August, hitting 289 with 7 home runs and a stolen base, followed by a really bad September where he hit 213 with 1 stolen base and no home runs. There seems to be some excitement around him, although I'm not really sure why, Gray, if I'm being honest.
I like JJ Bleday. I wrote a sleeper post for him. I think he's coming into like his peak power years. He's turning or he is
He's
27 already.
27, yeah.
He just turned 27 in November. So yeah, I mean, he played every day last year, 159 games. If he can stay on the field for another 150 plus games, that gives him, last year he had 74 runs, 60 RBIs. If that's, somewhat valuable, I think the 19.5% strikeout rate, which you mentioned, could lead to a better average with a higher BABIP in their new park. And if the power goes up a little bit, like last year, he was the 51st best outfielder on the player rater. So he's going much later than that. So if he's like the 51st outfielder on the player rater last year, anything after that's giving some value, and he's going around the 70th outfielder in some leagues. So yeah, I mean that's value. I don't mind him. I don't think he's gonna be like, I don't have him like you mentioned my projections for him, which is 27, 5, 252. So I'm not, projecting like this huge breakout of like, 35, 15, 280 or something. Like but within sort of, if your expectations are around what I think he can do, that's not a bad fifth outfielder in most leagues. I don't know. It's going to be hard to hold on to him in a 12-team mixed league, but a lot of these guys are going to be hard to hold on to in a 12-team mixed league. Like in a 12-team mixed league, we're already at the point where like you're drafting these guys at like 230 overall, and then you're getting to the first week of April and possibly dropping them. Like you're not holding any of these guys really. These are deep league plays at this point. But in a deep league, like an AL only or even a 15-team mixed league, JD Bleday is not. I don't think he's a terrible fifth outfielder.
All right, fair enough. He's fine. Like you said, he's not a terrible fifth outfielder. You could do worse in a 15-team league than like 25, couple of steals and 250, and he's going to hit, as you mentioned, in the middle of the lineup in a good park. So there are worse things that happen. I just hear some people mention some outrageous numbers for him, and I'm just like, but why? Because he doesn't hit the ball hard. He's not like a StatCast guy. The park's going to be nice, but it's not. I don't know that it's going to be add 15 to 20 home runs to everybody type of nice park. I think it's more average. So I can definitely see the average coming up. But yeah, we will see on Bleday. Number 67 was Ceddanne Rafaela. Number 68 was Tommy Edman. 69 was Tyler Fitzgerald. Number 70, which starts another tier, is Joe Adell. 130 games last year. He had 20 home runs, 15 stolen bases, hit 207, 280, 402. You have him down for 24 home runs, 15 stolen bases, 63, 72, 227. He is the roller coaster ride of fantasy baseball so far, or at least what he did last year. Either he had a really good month or he was not worth rostering and was hurting you big time. No place in the middle, Gray. Do you have any lingering hope that he becomes capital letters lights Joe Adell, or is this kind of maybe he kind of figures it out and hits a middle ground?
Okay, so this is going to sound somewhat unrelated, but I see recently the Ron Washington and the Angels are talking about a infield, a second base platoon or a shortstop platoon of Carter Kaboom and Scott Kingery. So to give you a little bit how that's related to Joe Adell is, well, not only is it the same team, but this is the kind of things that the Angels think about. These are what they do. This is how dumb they are. So when you're like thinking about whether or not Joe Adell can be good, you have to take into consideration that the Angels organization is so cursed. Joe Adele could be good or get benched for a week for no reason. Like you can't just assume he's going to be like Joe Adele's going to be playing every day. I wouldn't assume that. I don't think you should. Even though he should play every day. That's not, it's not to say that he won't, but I mean, I'm just saying that there's a good chance here that he doesn't. So, with that said, there's also the fact that he just hit 207 in 405 at bats. I mean, and he's hitting 211 for his career in 985 at bats. That's a lot of at bats to be hitting 211 for your career. So, like, he would need to do, if he's going to hit 211, he would probably need to be like a 30 plus homer, 15 plus steal guy to really be like super interesting. Like, so even if he plays like every day, which is no given, and he performs well with power and power and steals, and say by performing well, say he has his he has a career year with 25 homers and 15 steals, say, he's still got to hit better than like 220. Otherwise, it's going to be miserable to roster that in most leagues. So, I mean, he's fine. I'm not really a big Joe Adele guy. Like, I think a lot of people I think there's a lot of guys on Razzball who like him. I mean, I get it. There's the power and speed, and, he does hit the ball hard. So, I mean, maybe he figures it out, but man, his contact is just not very good. Like, to hit 207 and only have an under 28% strikeout rate. I mean, it's like, how did that happen? What brought that on? It's got to be a lot of fly balls. And, sure enough, that's exactly what it is. I mean, he's hitting everything in the air. It's, I don't know. I mean, maybe he can unlock something. Like, I'm not going to say it's completely out of the realm of possibilities, but I don't have a ton of faith.
Yeah, I completely understand, and it's getting really hard to think at any point it's going to turn over. I will completely admit to thinking it was happening at the beginning of last year when he was hitting, 315 and hit 4 home runs and 5 stolen bases in April, and I was like, it's happening, guys. We're getting Joe Adele. He's finally figured it out. I really thought it was happening, Gray. Not again. He won't fool me again. It's very inconsistent. I would look at him for a best ball or draft and hold type of situation. But setting your lineup and putting him in would be pretty hard most weeks. Number 71, Evan Carter, 45 games last year, 5 home runs, 2 stolen bases. He hit 188, 272, 361. You have him down for 12 home runs, 16 stolen bases, 64, 61, and 254. He had a back issue he was dealing with most of the season, was drafted as a top 25 outfielder last year, if not higher. He's still 22, Gray. Not like there was a lot we wanted to take from last year. But, remember, he's still also just a couple years removed from hitting 306, 5 home runs, 2 stolen bases, and only 23 games. Is there upside here, Gray? Or is this, where are you at?
If somehow we can figure out a way to get through to Bruce Bochy and tell him that about the pitch clock, man, he's going to be so surprised when he hears about the pitch clock at some point. He's got I think Bruce Bochy, pound for pound, he's got the fastest players that have no steals. I mean, it's pretty incredible that you can have Evan Carter on your team. I know he had the back issue and all, but still, for Evan Carter at 21 years old to only have 2 steals in 45 games, that's insane, dude. I mean, he's so fast. Him and Wyatt Langford, they are so fast to have like so little steals. It's wild, man. I don't know. I mean, Evan Carter, I think I think he could possibly bounce back. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. I don't mind the flyer late. My biggest issue is like, I mean, he's got a back problem, and a back problem doesn't, that's sort of the kind of thing that lingers versus just disappears. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit concerned. To be frank about it, I like him, but if he has a ten homer, 10 steal, 240 year, which is what most projections are saying for him, it wouldn't shock me either. Like, it's like he had the speed for like 50 plus bags. I don't know if Bochy's ever going to run anyone though. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't mind the flyer because he's going so late. I don't have a ton of hope though.
Yeah, I actually really like the flyer on Evan Carter. Just again, massive upside. But yeah, like you mentioned, Wyatt and Carter, two top 20 sprint speed guys, and neither really gets to run because of the organization and how they approach things. Pre-clock, it made sense. It was bad baseball. With the clock, it makes a whole lot more sense to get guys into scoring position. So we'll see what happens with Evan Carter, but I really do like a late shot on him. Number 72, Jordan Walker. Let's finish off the tier of disappointing outfielders, Gray. 51 games last year. He had 5 home runs, a stolen base, and hit 201, 253, 366. He had 84 games in AAA where he had 9 home runs, 4 stolen bases. It hit 263. You have him down for 18 home runs, 6 stolen bases, 66, 73, and 261. I don't even know if the numbers matter at this point. Like, do you believe or not? Like, that's pretty much where we're at on Jordan Walker. He still hits the ball with some authority. It seems like there should be an everyday job for him, but it seemed like that last year too. And then they were like, no, we were just joking. So what are your thoughts here, Gray?
Well, recently, I think he tripped over a sprinkler head and hurt his knee. So there's that, which is ironic because he tripped over a sprinkler head, and every year I end up all wet when it comes to Jordan Walker. that's the problem with him is like you look at him swing and you're like, he's a 40 homer. He's a 40 homer hitter, right? then you look at his stats and you're like, oh, maybe he's not. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if you were to take his name away and just look at his numbers, you'd probably be like, why are you even talking about this guy? he's a 6 homer hitter with 6 homers in like AAA. He's not even like he can't even hit for power in AAA. So yeah, I don't know. I still like him for but that has to do with the draft price. Since the draft price is good, I don't mind the flyer on him, but I mean, you can't expect you really can't expect anything at this point. You just gotta, take a flyer, hope he gets hot in April, because if he's not hot in April, you're dropping him anyway. So it's like well, at least in shallower leagues. In a deeper league, you're kind of stuck with the guy who you draft. But in like a shallower league, if you're drafting Jordan Walker as your 5th outfielder, I don't mind the flyer, but if he's not hot in April or even like in the first 2 weeks, you're probably dropping him anyway. So it's like, yeah, I mean, try it, see what happens. I'm losing faith though, by the second with Jordan Walker. Unfortunately, I was a true head for a long time. I was a true believer. I would have laid down my life for Jordan Walker last year and the year before. I was Jordan Walker pilled. I really loved him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out yet. this whole tier, we could just have Cher sing a little ditty and just, do you believe in life after love, Gray? Because they've all hurt us. We can't love them anymore. But maybe there's still some life left. I don't know. Gray, we've gone almost 2 hours here, so let's wrap it up in regards to detailed guys. But let's talk about some names left and who you like at the different points. In the remaining list here.
Yeah, okay. So Roman Anthony, mentioned him earlier. I don't know if he's going to break camp with the Red Sox. He might be sent down by the time people listen to this, but I don't mind the flyer at the tail end of like your draft to see if he gets called up quickly. He was really good in the minors last year. He should be playing with the team, but whatever the Red Sox are doing. Okay, so then you go for a guy like Sal Frelick, who I like, should be hitting for a better average. I think. I don't know. He had a decent enough hard hit rate, and his average exit velocity. It was fine. I don't mind him. He doesn't have a ton of pop. I think there could be something there with like speed. It's not a terrible flyer. There might be better ones, but he is going super late. So, you have to keep that in mind. You mentioned Jake Fraley earlier, another Reds. I like Reds outfielders. Austin Hayes, who we also mentioned earlier. I like Reds outfielders though, just because the park is so good. So it's I think it's something it's worth taking a flyer on, and especially in deeper leagues. Like you could do worse in an NL only league, taking a flyer on a Reds outfielder just because they're in Cincinnati, which is a good park. Anyway, Padres outfielder Tirso Ornelas, Torso Ornelas. Yeah, he's been hitting well in spring training. I think he has a job, potentially. I don't know. It depends on what they do with Jason Hayward. I hope Ornelas has a job, because Hayward should really just be he should be first base coach, to be honest.
He should be in Mexico somewhere. He'd be really good over in Mexico.
Yeah, he should be a batting coach or something. I think it's time for him to transition into being a
Can you be a coach of something that you're really not good at?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's how they all are. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tommy Lasorda, you ever hear of him? Yeah, no, that's fine. You don't have to be good at it. You just have to know how to teach it. Let's see, who else? There's also the Jake Myers, Chas McCormick guys over in Houston. I don't know if there's really going to be I don't know if there's a ton of upside there, but they could get at bats. Worst things can happen. Also, speaking of at bats, Tommy Pham should get plenty of at bats. I think, or at least until towards the end of July, when he gets traded to a contender and then becomes a platoon player. But yeah, for now, I think there's something there. And also Heston Kjerstad, may not have a job. He isn't an at bats play. He's more of an upside play. He's got big time power. I don't know. I don't mind the flyer in a deep league if you're able to stash him to see if maybe something opens up playing time wise for him. So yeah, I don't know. Also, we mentioned the Braves earlier. Kalanick. I don't know. I mean, probably nothing there, but if you're looking like in a deep league, deep NL only league, Kalanick, there was at one point something interesting there that apparently has left the building, but you never know. Maybe he can figure it out.
Yeah, I like a number of those names. I like the Anthony and the Frelick call. Frelick, for some reason they put the brakes on him in the second half. They just let him continue running. He would have had a pretty productive fantasy season. Roman Anthony, I absolutely love as well. Jacob Young is a cheap source of stolen bases. He's not going to hit the ball hard, but he's a top 20 sprint speed guy. And as we've seen in Washington, they let them run. Nolan Jones, who is, another guy who put up a really nice season. He went 2020 and 2023. in only 106 games, hitting 297. Obviously, he kind of got figured out, dealt with some back and knee issues though throughout the season. I don't know that he's necessarily what some of us were predicting from last year, but this late, there's still that kind of power speed combo. I don't mind that.
There's also Nolan Jones is also known as 2026's Brenton Doyle.
Yes, absolutely.
Hopefully not. I'm kidding.
I really hope not too, because I got Doyle in a couple leagues by now. Starling Marte, it seems like he might actually have a starting job, and he steals bases, while he's healthy. If you're looking real late, Heston Kjerstad, I don't know if he has an everyday job or even a job period, but if he gets a job, I would be interested in him. Leody Taveras might get at least an early look at playing time, as Dallas Garcia is dealing with a little bit of some kind of thing. So maybe Taveras gets a look, and he had 23 stolen bases last year. So there's some production there. Michael Conforto has been a pretty popular guy in a lot of leagues. The Dodgers tend to fix broken things, and Conforto actually looked pretty solid at different times last year. So if they can figure him out, maybe we can finally get Michael Conforto that we thought we were getting. I don't know. Was that like a decade ago now, Gray? I don't really remember a time frame on that, but I know that we once thought Michael Conforto was going to be a good player, Gray. And I'll throw Victor Scott out here if you're just looking for some cheap stolen bases. If he gets a job, he is fast as anybody, and could definitely get some stolen bases there. The man stole 94 stolen bases in 2023 in the minors. That's absolutely absurd, Gray. I don't know that he can actually put the ball in play, but if he can, he's going to steal the base. You better believe that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we like him. We like VS2. That's what I call him.
VS squared? V squared?
VS2.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, VS2. Jose Siri. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, it's like, we're talking about deep outfielders at this point. A maybe is pretty strong. that's a strong maybe. And then also, I think you can't go without talking about one guy who is injured. You can put him on your IL, Dalton Varsho. Probably not good, but you put him on your IL, and maybe when he comes back, you get some steals potentially. Who knows? I mean, he didn't have the worst power speed year last year for in a 136 games. So I mean, we're talking about late. We're late flyers at this point.
We are extremely late flyers, Gray. I mean, we're probably even outside of 15 teamers unless you're doing drafting holes and just everybody's own. So yeah, absolutely. We are just shooting for whatever. One last name, I guess I'll just throw Tommy Pham. Maybe there's still relevance there. He might actually lead off for the Pirates, a professional baseball team, kind of. So I mean, if he leads off, there's definitely some runs potential and some stolen base still with Pham. So you could do worse as a free pick than Tommy Pham, I think.
Oh, also one final name, Jordan Beck, I think has a starting job for the Rockies. That's all he's got going for him. But that's something. I mean, that might be something. I don't know if it is something at this point, but it could be. I mean, he's got power speed. He's projected probably for around like 10 homers, 10 steals, 180 average, maybe. Not great. I mean, maybe a 220, 230 average. Jordan Beck, though, he has a starting job for the Rockies, supposedly.
As I like to call him, 2025 Nolan Jones. I mean,
Yes.
I mean Dalton. I mean Doyle. I mean
Brendan Doyle. Yes, Jordan Beck. So here's what we got with the Rockies outfielders. We got Jordan Beck is Brenton Doyle 2025. Brenton Doyle is Nolan Jones 2024, and Nolan Jones is Brenton Doyle 2026.
I think Brenton Doyle is Dalton Varsho, like 2021, 2022, something like that. Whatever the year was after, whenever I was drafting him super high.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that
Oh
was
my God.
the one.
Can you imagine if we actually have one Rockies outfielder who goes into the season appearing to be good and leaves the season appearing to be good? That would be amazing. That would be incredible. One
I don't
Rockies
think that's
hitter.
happened since like Blackman or something. I don't know.
I feel like that hasn't happened since Carlos Gonzalez in 2008. It's been so long. It's been so long.
Man. Are they pulling Blackman out of retirement? Are they going to do that and block somebody too? That feels appropriate as well.
They're going to be like Charlie Blackmon. We've asked him numerous times to come out of retirement and play outfield for us, and unfortunately, he's declined. But we have put a merkin onto a pillow, so it appears like Charlie Blackmon it's a pillow with a beard. We're going to be playing a pillow with a beard in left field for the first week of the season. See how it goes.
Oh, don't put anything past Colorado Rockies if we're being completely honest. Anything at any time could potentially happen, Gray, in Colorado. It's just a wacky place, apparently. Michael Kadire, maybe he's coming out of retirement to play in Rockies. Who knows? Anyways, Gray, if anybody has any more questions about outfielders or anything, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at RazBeaton. Gray is at Razball. You can also find us on youtube.com/RazballFantasy or just Razball.com in the comments. Good luck in your drafts, and we'll be back to start the starting pitcher lists next week. Where we don't draft the top 10 guys, but we tell you about them. So talk to you next week, Gray.
All right, thanks.